Good morning. Hello again. My name is Chef Chris from Married to Southern Cooking, and today I have a complete surprise for you. Now, about last night, we had a great dinner. However, the meal consisted of grilled chops, grilled zucchini, and pinto beans. The pinto beans were done in a slow cooker in a charro bean style with onions, green chilies, bacon, things like that. But what do we need to top off those beans? You guessed it, cornbread. So today I'm gonna redo something that was a complete hit last night, and that was the cheddar jalapeno cornbread. All right, so for this recipe, it involves several things. First thing to note is that you mix the wet and dry ingredients separately first, then you put them together. Okay, so unlike me, many of you may have made cornbread from scratch, but as you know, I have not. One of the interesting things that I first noticed is that the wet and dry ingredients are mixed separately, then they're combined together before baking. Okay, so as you know, we're making cornbread, but not just any cornbread. We're going to make jalapeno cheddar cornbread. So, what's the first ingredient? Corn. All right, so I have cornmeal, flour, brown sugar, baking soda, salt, baking powder. Now, cheese goes next, but before I add the cheese, I kind of want to break up some of those solid ingredients first, those dry ingredients, just a little bit. The flour, cornmeal, sugar, baking powders, baking soda, salts, don't clump, but the brown sugar may clump just a little bit. If you want to remove those with a spoon, a fork, pastry scrape, or even your hands, you can break those up with your hands. But for conventional purposes today, just want to keep it nice and clean, a little bit of hands free right now, and just do it with my pastry scrape. Okay. Now, next thing, cheese. This is about 2 cups, a cup and a half to 2 cups of sharp cheddar. Get in there, kind of packed. That's okay. All right. Two jalapenos, diced. And a little something extra that enhances the texture and the flavor. A half a can of Horokono corn, sweet corn, all right? Just gonna throw that in there. Okay, give it a little bit of a stir, all right? Now, I'm gonna let that sit while I prepare the dry ingredients so that we can have us a nice mixture. Okay, there, all right, set that aside. Now, for the wet ingredients, milk, oil, any type of oil, vegetable, canola, olive. I think I'll just use canola on ours. Butter. And 3 eggs that have already been beaten. And give that a quick whisk. nice and consistent. You'll notice a color change with these liquids. That way you know that you're at least in the right neighborhood when it comes down to being mixed thoroughly. If you want to use an electric mixer, you can, like a KitchenAid or a handheld. You can do that, but this is simpler, you know, it's very easy. It's not very hard. I surprised myself last night making this because, as I said, it's the first time making cornbread from scratch. So now we're going to combine these two. I'm actually going to bring back out my pastry scrape and fold it in first, and then I'm going to kind of mix it. So I'm going to add the wet ingredients to my dry. Mix that very nicely. You can tell when it's well mixed because everything will have the same consistency. Making sure all the dry ingredients are folded in well to the wet to dry, dry to wet. All right, there you go. Now, nice and consistent. See the cheddar, see the jalapeno. It smells good, okay? And this is what we get, okay? There we go. All right. Okay, so now that the mixing is done, we want to pour it into our pan, or in this case, our iron skillet that we're going to bake in, okay? It's about a 10-inch iron skillet. You can use a baking dish, but I think to achieve more crispy texture along with the butter and other ingredients, I think this is gonna work great. So I want to, of course, coat that with a non-stick very well. Okay, got that coated. Now, one thing that I'm really, really proud of is last night, this poured very well. Not only did it pour well, it was removed from the pan very, very easily. We don't want anything to stick. Okay. Get that in our pan. There we go. Okay, I just heard that timer go off. You know what that means. The cheddar jalapeno cornbread is ready. So, remove from oven, set aside to cool on a cooling rack about 10 to 15 minutes. Be sure, of course, those of you that bake often, check the middle and make sure it's done. Use a toothpick or a fork, make sure there's no residue on there. It means you're all good to go. So here's what we came up with. Cheddar jalapeno cornbread. Great side to our beans and our grilled meats and veggies yesterday. I had to recreate it again because, as I said, first time making cornbread from scratch, turned out great. Family was pleased, all smiles over here. So, all right, before I get out of here and dig into this, I'm Chef Chris, Married to Southern Cooking. We'll see you next time. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page and also check out the recipes on our Facebook page, Married to Southern Cooking. See you next time. Peace.